Hi guys, this is Maria and Manos and you're watching On the Couch with M&M.
The show to help you build fun and profitable businesses. Hi guys, and welcome back to another edition of On the Couch with M&M. Today we have special guest Kerri Robertson from My Admin Partner. My Admin Partner is a company that specialises in sales and rental trust accounts, outsourced sales and rental trust accounting. We've been using My Admin Partner now for the last 5 years. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Manos.
Kerri. How you doing?
Aboard,
Thanks,
honey.
Maria.
But we've been working together for
Over 10 years. Yeah.
forever since we started Eview, which has been amazing. Kerri was actually in this office,
Yes,
right?
I was. Yes,
When you
started.
first started.
Many
working with
offices
us
along the way.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So trust accounting has been what you've done all your life.
Yes.
So give us a 30-second Kerri Robertson story.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I started in real estate when I was 19, plug and cord switchboard. Oh, a long time ago. Yes.
Yeah.
Plug and cord switchboard.
Yes. We won't go any further than that.
It's only about 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Maria. I think I've worked in nearly every aspect of real estate besides selling.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of property management work as well. As you can see, I said a little. And the trust accounting was what I loved. Just the numbers, balancing at the end of the day, the month. And, yeah, I just like helping people. And, yeah, so I opened My Admin Partner. And it's taken off from there. You were my first client,
Absolutely.
of course. And then it's just word of mouth, auditors. It's gone crazy.
Awesome. So let's just talk about, there's been a lot of talk about people outsourcing lots of components in their business. And trust accounting is one of those components that's normally left up to the directors, especially if you're a small business. The director is always balancing the trust account, doing it on a daily basis. Obviously doing the disbursements on the day of settlement. I know that's what I did for the first number of years that were in real estate. That was part of my role. And it is such an important role, but it does take a lot of focus from the director in what they're meant to be doing and working on their business instead of in their business. Outsourcing, we've found, has been the best solution to our growth in our business. So, Kerri, how does outsourced trust accounting for sales work?
So what we do is we check the trust account every single day. So obviously we need access to that trust account.
So everyone's got their own sales trust account, their own bank account through their licensed corporation.
Yes.
Cool.
Some directors like us to have view only, and they upload, like we can upload to disperse to vendors when the property settles or early release. Some give us the full access. So
let's just talk about you're taking over what you do for us. You take over the whole lot.
Yeah.
Where you disperse for us. I don't look at the trust account anymore, except I just sign off on the end of the month. So let's talk about that process.
Okay. So I check the bank account every single day. If there's money that's come in, we receipt it. I reconcile every single day. So if there's transactions going in or out, it's reconciled. So when a property, so I get all the sold paperwork, just 5 documents: the contract, the authority, the Section 32 signed page, and the marketing.
And that's just emailed through to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you emailed through.
Yeah. So I create a ledger. I create a ghost file. It's called a ghost file because it's only just 5 pages basically, and then we track the deposit. So when it's due, if it's not in when it's due, I email the agent saying it's overdue. You have to chase it up.
It's
just
more
like a checking, isn't it?
It's actually
like
more than just trust accounting.
Yeah.
You're actually doing a little bit of the sales support as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's really an important factor when you're thinking about doing your sales trust accounting, is that continuity there between agent, between liaising with conveyancers, between all the relevant parties. You're just not opening up a ledger, balancing, and then away you go.
No.
There's actually communication between all the parties.
Yeah, well, the conveyancers call us as well when they check how much money we're holding prior to settlement, which most of them already know who I look after, so they ring me direct. So they're not ringing the offices
or the agent,
clogging up the phones there.
Yeah.
Then once the property settles, I then call the vendor and confirm their bank account details with all the recent email hacking. And
we're going to touch on that a little bit separately. Yeah,
cybercrime.
Keep
We'll
going.
talk about cybercrime.
We'll finish the process first.
And then I contact the vendor, confirm the bank account details if they've come from the conveyancer. I check them. If not, I still ring the vendor.
Yes.
I always ring the vendor.
It's a two-step authentication process.
At the end of the day, if we're making the actual transfer, we're responsible.
Yeah, 100%.
So I don't care how many times we ring. Yeah. That's what we do. Then we send a copy of the account sale to the vendor, the agent, the conveyancer. So everyone gets a copy of everything, that the confirmation of the transfer that's gone into the bank.
Yes.
The whole lot. And then we put everything in the ghost file and we put it away, and that's the auditor can use that ghost file to do their auditing.
Right. So the whole process, you start with receiving all the documentation from
admin,
from administration.
Yep.
You go in there and check and balance the account daily. What about marketing that's needs to be refunded or expended, and it's got nothing to do with the sale? Say it's a withdrawn property, but there's VPA. How does that work?
So if there's VPA sitting there that that has been spent, the agent or the office normally emails us. Or actually, what I do is about on the 15th of every month, I check every single database for marketing that's sitting in the ledgers. I email the office and I say to them, "This is what's sitting in the database. What can I transfer to your general?"
So you're even helping the officers from a cash flow point of view to make sure that they're receiving their funds. So that's taking a whole process away from the internal processes. Really, in effect, they've got a full-time person looking after their sales trust account.
But we also check the paperwork when it comes in to start with as well.
Compliance.
I check the contract to make sure the names are correct with the authority, with the Section 32, because we're adding all those details into our system. So we're just double checking everything.
When you put it in, yeah.
And then end of month, rollovers.
Yes, that's exciting.
So what happens on the first of the month?
First of the month, I reconcile. Well, they hopefully are already reconciled, but because I do it every day. But I roll over in a month. I email every director the reports, asking them to check them and sign off the acknowledgement and to file for their auditors.
Okay, cool. And what happens if it falls on a weekend, the first of the month, or it's a public holiday? What happens there? What processes have you got in?
I do it anyway.
Okay, so you had the team.
Well, I do it.
Okay.
I do it.
Okay.
If I can do it, I will do it because that's what I do.
Yeah.
It'll be on the next business day of that month. So if the first of the month is on a Saturday, then all the rollovers are done on the Monday. Unless it's me, I do it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Because that's just
the way it is.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
In regards to downtime throughout the year, so is the office closed, or is it 52 weeks of the year?
52 weeks of the year. We close we just close the public holidays. That's it.
And because you've got the team now, that you're up to seven staff.
Yeah.
People can fill in if someone is sick or on holidays.
They have a roster.
They have a roster
of who goes away at Christmas.
Yeah.
Because we've got to have 2 people always.
Yeah.
Landlords still need their rents dispersed between Christmas and New Year. It's still 4 or 5 days sometimes.
And I think that's the challenge with a small business owner, isn't it? Because if you have one person calling sick that it's looking after your trust accounting, especially if the business owner doesn't know how to do it and they're relying on a staff member, and I'm sure you've got stories like that, or you picked up business, that people have sent their staff on holidays for 6 weeks and they've rang you up because they know you from, previous positions that you had with the companies, and I know you've told me that they go, "Can you do it for 6 weeks?" And then they just left it with you because they're tell us about that.
We babysit quite a few.
When that's right. That's what you call it, babysitting.
Babysitting when they're with a staff member that actually that's part of their role. They're on holidays. So it's lovely because it just slips right in. We've got remote access already. They just connect us with the bank and away we go.
But then a lot of them have just gone, just keep it, I don't want it back, especially if it's the director or, doing it.
And I get a lot of clients that do come to me, they've been sent by the auditor, which is really nice to know that, that's what she thinks of our
Oh,
work.
100%.
35
We would
years
have
of
been lost without you.
experience, Kerri, is invaluable. I think just that alone, understanding that, and you're throughout Australia.
Yeah.
With obviously, you do trust accounting throughout the whole Australia.
Yeah.
You're compliant, you're licensed, all those compliance things. But the expertise that you bring to the table and your team, we're talking decades of experience in those day-to-day transactions. Hence why the cybercrime is such a big thing now. So let's talk about that. How much does it cost? If I joined my admin partner as an office, and let's just pretend I do 2 to 3 sales or 5 sales a month. How much is the cost?
Okay, with the sales, it's $200 a file, and I charge that when it's been dispersed. So if it's early released, as in Victoria, is the only state that can have an early release deposit. When it's early released or settled, that's when the client gets charged. So if a file falls over or a deposit's received and it's refunded, that's nothing. That's just part of it.
So if I settled 2 properties in a month, but 3 of them also fell over, my charge for that month would be $400.
Correct.
The two files.
The two files.
Yeah.
If there's been no transactions, as in properties that have settled or released, I charge $50 just as a one-off, because I'm checking the bank account every day. I still have to roll over at the end of the month, and usually you do take receipts and refunds and whatever. So I just thought $50 was a fair enough, and the charges and what we do, it's got to be a win-win for not only us but for the client.
Of course,
because they're not going to come and use us if it's not.
So you're saying that there's no charge. So if there was a sales transaction that had 5 offers on it and they've all received money for that particular property, there's no charge for that. Okay.
No, that's just part of.
It's just the $50 a month.
Part of the process.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a real no-brainer.
Yeah.
No, and with the rental side, I've got a sliding scale. So it used to be, from 1 to 200 managements. This is what I charged. I can't remember the cost in my head.
It's okay. What we do is we'll put your details down the bottom, and then people can call you direct.
So and then I found that I had clients coming to me that had 3, and I would try to teach them how to do it themselves first, and they wouldn't have a bar of it. So I had to start lower. So I started from 1 to 25, 26 to 50. 51 to...
That is fantastic.
So it looks after the little people.
So you can grow into, obviously, an organisation.
That's a good idea.
So you're starting off brand new, and we are talking to a lot of business owners and a lot of startups. If you're starting brand new, plug and play, you can have the resources without paying for the resources until it's a pay as you use the
system.
resource.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
I've got a few clients in the wings that probably have 1 or 2 rental managements, and they're quite happy I've sort of taught them so that they need to know how it all works.
Yeah, of course.
So when they get to a certain level, then I've said, come and bring it to me then. Yeah.
That's awesome that you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you educate them on the process as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I had a client call me yesterday. The director was on holidays and she couldn't reconcile her rental trust. We're talking, it was the 7th of June.
Wow.
They're not even my clients. I have been helping them along the way with certain aspects, but so I took all the bank statements and the reports home that night, and the next day
I did it. Yeah. It's actually a quite involved process, and I know a lot of offices, sometimes they just, I know you've seen it too, they'll just give it to admin to do with no experience or education or even understanding what a trust is and what a general lease and actually going through the process. So that's a dangerous territory.
It's really dangerous, Maria. And they focus on the program doing it for them when they really need to know how it works. But we started doing it on paper.
Yeah.
So it's easy to understand what the process was.
Yeah.
But and then you've got staff that leave that teach the new person, and they don't know. They've got bad habits, I should say. It's not that they don't know what they're doing, they've got bad habits.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm getting these clients that are in a complete mess. And, it takes time.
So if someone pulls in an authority and, if an authority is being filled out correctly, do you bring it up to the to the client?
Yes.
So, for example, they haven't put in the correct range.
Yes.
Yeah, you make a note.
That's
and you
part
say,
of our process.
Or the GST. A lot of the times they get the GST wrong and all that.
Or the way they've put the commission is so convoluted, and and it could go either way, it's really bad. And I have to ring up and go, what did you get? Because I got this, or they'll put 1 to 1.75 and the property's sold, and I'm thinking, okay,
so what is it?
What is it? 1 or 1.75? So you always, and I have a lot of contact with the vendors. I have some of them ring me on my mobile. It doesn't worry me, but it's just part of the service.
That's awesome.
Sometimes they need to ring someone straight away to explain something, and that's what we do. We just explain. Awesome. When a deposit can be released, when it can't. Now we've picked up clients where they have refunded when they shouldn't have. They have, especially cool off, like the money it needs to go to the vendor. In a lot of cases, they've just refunded it to the purchaser, or finance has fallen through, but they've got to wait for the okay from the vendor side to say, yes, that's okay, we've got the letter from the bank. Yeah. There's so many scenarios that they just
There's a lot of moving parts in the trust
absolutely.
accounting.
And once that money's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, that's right.
Kerri, we've been using you guys for the last 4 or 5 years. It's been absolutely invaluable. Our officers use the service. I can't extend to the audience the importance of getting that component of your business right, just to obviously take it away from the principal.
Yeah.
So you can be working on your business instead of being in your business.
And when you go on holidays, you don't have to take the laptop with you.
No.
Trust account like you used to.
24/7, 7 days a week. One last topic, cybercrime.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about cybercrime. That has been such an issue in our industry of late, that cybercrime now, you've got to have that 2-step authentication process in place.
Yes.
So what advice can we give? What tips can we give to the audience?
Well, it started happening. I was firstly aware of it back in November last year. So when I heard of it, we changed our processes straight away. From the very beginning, it used to be we only took bank account details over the phone. Mm-hmm. But then we thought, look, we need them in writing. So then we changed to email. Well, obviously that's not working. Hello.
That's been hacked.
So I created a form that I gave to all my clients, and the agents give it to the client at the time the property sold, and they physically write out their name, their bank account details, and if there's 2 vendors, they both sign. So then that's sent to me and it's put in the file.
Unless you get those details from the conveyancer. Sometimes conveyancers solicitors forward those details.
But now, most times conveyancers get them to me over the email, which is not good enough.
No.
So I've just made a blanket rule. We always ring the vendor, no matter how. The only time we don't ring is if we've got it on a fax, because you can't.
Do you still use fax?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. People are going back to the faxes. I've got probably 5 conveyancers that fax me now.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of the emails they're getting
That's
hacked.
right.
And that's the client's email, not your email.
That's right.
Yeah, because you had that happen with a client.
Yes.
And their email got hacked. And
it got intercepted,
put a different bank account in, and the money was transferred to that different bank account. Yeah. So it's not even like you think the business is protected. You've got all the firewalls and everything in your business and our business, but it's the client that can get.
And at the end of the day, if you're the one making the transfer, you're the one responsible.
The buck stops with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we go over the top. It's like going to the hospital and they say, what's your name and what's your date of birth? And they say it 15 times.
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of vendors get quite upset, when I ring them asking for them, and I just explain to them about the email hacking, and then they're quite happy to answer it again.
Yeah.
But you've just got to do as much as you can to do the right thing.
Because sometimes it's a big amount of money too. Imagine transferring a whole deposit of 50,
Maria,
60
I'm transferring
grand.
300, 400 grand.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Especially, on these $3 million, $4 million sales.
Yeah.
And I go
you want to make sure you're putting it in the right bank
Absolutely.
account.
I check and I check and I check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
awesome.
Sometimes the girls come to me and say, can you do this one? Okay.
Yeah. One last tip.
Yes.
We have officers that have obviously internal trust accounting process with their admin, whether it's in rental trust. Is there one thing that a director, a principal needs to be aware of to make sure that the whole process, what if you were the principal, what would you make sure that will happen correctly?
One thing that doesn't happen enough is at the end of the month when they've received their report, they don't look at it. They just sign it.
The reconciliation. Roll over.
They need to be checking if there's money sitting in sundries. Is there money sitting in unknown? Why is it there?
A lot of people don't know what unknown deposits are.
Yeah.
So it is.
Well, there's certain rules too. You can only hold an unknown deposit for 12 months, and then it has to go to unclaimed monies, which is part of the government.
Yeah.
So, and you get into trouble for having money sitting in your trust for over 12 months. So lots of little issues that people aren't aware of. So they need to be looking at their report and just scanning and checking certain aspects, which I tell them to do.
Yeah.
Unless they've known me for years and they just sign.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Kerri, thank you so much for joining us.
That's
We always
okay.
love you having in the office and sharing your expertise and your knowledge and obviously your company. So it's fantastic.
Well, I enjoy what I do, Manos, and my clients are my number one priority. You know, and if they're happy, I'm happy, and then everyone's happy.
Awesome.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Thank
All right.
Thanks, Dal.
No worries.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to you guys for watching another episode of On the Couch with M&M. Please, we'll leave Kerri's details down below for any questions and any further information. And, of course, we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, guys. Be good.